Coercive control never starts with a lock and key. It starts with a soft, caring comment about how your closest friend doesn't actually have your best interests at heart. In the next several minutes, you'll understand the exact pipeline used to engineer that isolation and why it arrives disguised as devotion. Because if you can't catch these microscopic boundary shifts early, you end up enclosed in a reality the manipulator wrote for you, and the last person who could have warned you is a name on your phone you've stopped answering. The hardest part of catching tactical isolation early is that it is camouflaged as intense love. Early in a manipulative relationship, the urge to spend every waking hour together looks exactly like ordinary infatuation. Clinically, though, there is a hard line between choosing to orbit a new partner and being quietly engineered into dependency. And whether you're auditing your own relationship or watching it happen to someone you love, the structure is identical, which means it can be named. And once named, it can be defended. This analysis draws strictly from peer-reviewed research on coercive control and domestic containment, not pop psychology. True safety expands your world. It folds into what you already have and respects the bonds you already built. Coercive control does the opposite. It runs on the steady shrinking of your world, and its instrument is a fence you cannot see. As the foundational research on entrapment establishes, the goal is not winning arguments. It is the slow degradation of your capacity to govern yourself. Open aggression invites resistance, so they avoid it. Instead, they remove the people who let you check reality. Your friends, your family, the colleague who would say, "That isn't normal," until they are the only voice left in the room. If this is already describing something you're living through, subscribe to the Shadow Protocol and hit like. New clinical analysis every week. Now, the pipeline. To see how isolation is actually built, watch the sequence, the gradual, four-stage process that dissolves your social perimeter one post at a time. This is not a DSM diagnosis. It is a precise behavioral description of a pattern researchers document again and again. What this channel calls the invisible fence. The fence goes up in 4 stages. The manipulator does not open by telling you to drop your friends. First, they study your network to find your strongest protectors, the perceptive, boundaried people most likely to call manipulation early. And understand this clearly, this does not target the weak or the naive. It targets the well-defended, because the people best equipped to spot a predator are exactly the ones worth removing first. Once your protectors are identified, the quiet invalidation begins. Passive-aggressive seeds of doubt dressed up as concern. The scripts sound caring. "I noticed how your sister spoke to you at dinner, so dismissive. You deserve to be treated with far more respect than she gives you. Your friend takes advantage of how generous you are. It breaks my heart to watch you used like that." Watch the mechanics. Each line undermines one of the people who can see you clearly, while positioning the manipulator as your one true defender. Next, they make keeping those bonds expensive. An intense argument the night before you see your family. A cold, wounded silence when you come home from a night out. The diagnostic marker is not the conflict itself, it is the timing. The friction tracks your independent activity. It is not random, it clusters predictably around your departures and returns. That correlation is the data. Write it down. Eventually, your own nervous system does the manipulator's work for them. It runs the math. The Thursday dinner you have kept for years now costs a 2-hour argument on Wednesday night and a wall of silence on Friday. The morning text from the friend who always checked on you now sits unanswered, because answering means explaining why you've gone quiet, a conversation you do not have the energy to survive. So you cancel, not because you were told to, because staying home is simply cheaper than the fight. That is the moment the fence becomes invisible. No one is guarding the gate anymore. You are. Empirical research on nonviolent containment confirms it. These subtle tactics produce genuine fear, genuine perceived threat, and real structural harm, with no physical violence required at all. You begin to patrol your own enclosure that accounts for the world outside you. The second layer is worse because it rebuilds the fence on the inside. Subscribe to the Shadow Protocol and hit like. It helps this analysis reach someone who needs it. We publish structured, clinical breakdowns every week so you can decode manipulation and protect your long-term autonomy. Back to it.
Once your outer perimeter has been
Thinned, the manipulator moves inward, to the borders of your identity. This one is not a clinical category either. It is the familiar structure of us against the world. The manipulator builds a story in which the relationship is an elite, fragile fortress under siege from outsiders and weaponizes your wish to be a loyal partner. Your independent life, a career ambition, a solo hobby, a trusted confidant gets reframed as betrayal. We don't need anyone else. As long as we have each other, the rest is just noise. If you really valued what we're building, you wouldn't keep needing validation from outside this house. See the trap. To prove your loyalty, you are required to surrender the independent self that the loyalty was supposed to come from. At the same time, a quieter process runs underneath. Identity merging. The manipulator gradually absorbs your preferences, your opinions, your tastes, penalizing what is uniquely yours, rewarding whatever mirrors them, until you cannot separate your own wants from theirs. Eventually, you stop pursuing your own interests, not because you were forbidden, because you have lost track of what they ever were. Before we get to the defenses that break this open, you need to see the most dangerous form isolation takes, the one you cannot be argued out of. It is called cognitive shrinkage, and it is so hard to defend against because it runs entirely inside your own head. Once it sets in, the manipulator no longer has to read your texts or police your schedule. Your own mind trades away your independence just to keep the peace. Pay absolute attention to this one. Like the others, this is a behavioral pattern rather than a DSM label, but it is the most documented stage and the most dangerous. It is the point where external isolation finishes its work and turns internal. When you are cut off from your outside network, you lose your comparison points. In a healthy social world, if a partner does something cruel or erratic, you mention it to a colleague or a close friend, and that third party gives you a reading. That is not normal. The unanswered text on your phone used to be one of those readings. Strip those readings away, and your field of vision narrows hard. Long-term containment forces you to see the whole world through the perpetrator's eyes. You stop asking what you think, what you feel, what is fair. Your mind collapses onto one hyper-vigilant question. How will they react to this? You edit your sentences, change your clothes, preemptively cut your remaining contacts, so the manipulator never has a reason to escalate. You have become the warden of your own containment, the complete degradation of psychological sovereignty. Now you can see the full anatomy of the enclosure. So, here is how you take it apart. One boundary of my own before the tactics. If naming any of this out loud or changing your routine could put you in physical danger, these tools are not built for that situation. A safety plan made with a trained professional comes first, and the resources are in the description. What follows is for the earlier stage, the slow erosion, before the danger turns physical. Use your judgment about which one you are in. Here is the structural truth the manipulator does not want you to notice. The fence is built in stages, so it comes down in stages. Each defense below neutralizes one specific phase of the pipeline. 3 rules. 1. The decentralized reality check. This neutralizes the micro-critique. Keep at least 3 independent reality checks outside the relationship that the manipulator cannot access, monitor, or influence. A therapist, a lifelong friend, an honest mentor. Commit to telling them the truth. When your partner does something that spikes your anxiety or confusion, cross-check it. If all 3 independently call the behavior controlling, accept their reading over your partner's narrative. That is what the morning text was for. Answer it. 2. The protective inversion rejection. This neutralizes manufactured friction. The instant your partner launches a micro-critique against someone in your circle under the banner of protecting you, reject the frame. Do not debate it. Do not argue about your friend's character. State the boundary clean. I hear you, but my relationship with my sister is mine, and it is separate from this house. I manage it myself, and I am not cutting back. By refusing to argue whether your friend is flawed, you short-circuit their ability to use your empathy as a wedge. And if they escalate, the moment you say it, treat that as your answer, not your failure. Exit cleanly. The escalation is the data. 3. The standing bridge. This neutralizes the exhaustion choice. Build one fixed commitment to the outside world that cannot be cancelled by domestic conflict. A weekly class, a training schedule, a standing dinner at an unmovable time. When the argument lands the night before, you do not stay home to resolve the crisis. You treat that commitment as a bridge out over the fence. You walk through the door, cross into the outside world, let your nervous system settle in safe air, and come back regulated. Keep the Thursday dinner. It was never just a dinner, it was the bridge. A manipulator can only control you while they control your baseline definition of what is real. The moment you secure your outside network, anchor your judgment in independent data, and refuse to let your perimeter be compressed, you strip away most of the leverage they were standing on. The fence only works while it stays invisible, and you just made it visible. Securing your network is the start. The next move is building boundaries a manipulator can neither penetrate nor debate. To learn the exact language and enforcement that takes, watch our full breakdown, How to Set Boundaries with a Manipulator, on the left. Answer the text, keep the Thursday dinner, protect your reality. We will see you in the next analysis.